Welcome to another episode of Systematic Geekology. This is a space where we seek to create and cultivate healthy conversations between those things we geek out on and the philosophical and theological questions that often arise out of our fandoms. Like, what does it mean to be human? What makes a hero? What makes a villain? How do the stories and narratives we geek out on shape how we live in the world? We are your priest to the geeks. We aren't all ordained, but we see ourselves as mediators at the intersection of geek culture and going deeper in our faith. We don't always have to agree, but we do respect each other, and we see everyone as a beloved child of God. Everyone geeks out on something, so come geek out with us and enjoy the show.
You're listening to an Anazal Ministries podcast.
Hello, Geekologist! This is Systematic Geekology. We are the Priest of the Geeks, coming to you with our final show of 2025. And what a better way to celebrate, to cap off the year than by sharing our favorite movies of the year. Throughout 2025, there were some huge movies this year, also some very indie gems out there. There's a lot to discuss and unpack. So we've been doing this for a couple of years, I think. And I am here with I am Kevin Schaefer. I'm here with some of my favorite geekologists here to talk about 2025 in film. So Andy, Christian, Evan, how are you guys doing today?
Very well, thank you.
Great day.
Doing good in this void between Christmas and the New Year's.
Right. It really is. Yeah. And hey, if anyone is watching live, I appreciate y'all for hanging out with us on New Year's Eve. And when I don't know if that's sad or celebratory. That you could be going and partying right now, but you're hanging out with us. So hey,
we're awesome. Who wouldn't want to be here with us?
But yeah,
Right.
I mean, I don't know.
It's all about us too.
Yeah, it is. I cannot say I'm going anywhere today because the Stranger Things finale drops tonight, so I will be home watching that, and also seeing it in theaters tomorrow. So I already have two plans to see. Nice. We have a lot to discuss on Stranger Things in another episode, which we will be doing. But first, we're going to talk about all the things in movies this year. So a lot of big heavy hitters, and in place of our lightning round today, we're going to do a lot of honorable mentions. At least I have a lot, and just talk about kind of the year as a whole. I got guys to start off. What were some of your thoughts on just the movies as a whole this year? Was there anything really surprising about any trends, or of course there's a lot of industry upheaval right now, but were there any kind of trends or themes you saw this year, or was it pretty all over the place?
The trifecta of Superman, Jurassic World, and Fantastic Four was fun again. I don't think it lived up to the hype of Barbenheimer, but it was fun to have to have that sense of a community almost in the film world like that.
It is ever since Barbenheimer, the term was coined, it was that's been a thing of trying to replicate that every year with a back-to-back or triple feature of interrelated blockbusters. And of course I've got it in my if you're watching on YouTube, you can see, if you're listening to this audio later, but I have as my subheading here, prepping for Doomsday, which we'll be talking about later when we get to what's coming in 2026. But that was I think a really big summer feature. And then because beyond that, there were a lot of big films I think that came around at the same time, but that was a very a trio of blockbusters that we did episodes on, and that was a lot of fun.
For me, it seemed like it was kind of an overstuffed year. We had a lot of things pushed back by the strikes from that would have come out last year, and so
true.
There was a lot going on, but not sure anything really stood out. It seemed like it was a quantity over quality year.
That's fair. I definitely think there were some big quality things. Like I said, I had actually a hard time making a top 10 list. I know we're going to be sharing our top 5, but I've got a lot of honorable mentions. But it's absolutely, that was a factor of everything getting pushed back from strikes and even, I know COVID's out in the distance, but there's been a lot of factors in the past years that there was a massive amount of movies this year. And as someone who goes to the theater at least once a week, there was stuff I even missed that I wanted to see and I haven't got a chance to yet. So with that, let's do some honorable mentions because I think there's a lot to talk about. Does anyone want to start?
Yeah, I'll go ahead. My honorable mentions in no particular order: Predator: Badlands, Thunderbolts, Fantastic Four, K-pop Demon Hunters, Zootopia 2, and Black Phone 2. As you may notice, most of those are all, well, actually, except for one, all old IP. K-pop Demon Hunters is now going to become an IP, and that they've already announced a sequel. But I really enjoyed all those films. You may notice there's not going to be a mention of a certain Brave New World because, unlike a certain someone else on this show, I'm not big on it.
Fair enough. What's funny is my nephew got figures from the movie for Christmas, and I'm kind of if he ever asked me can we watch the movie that these are in, I'm like, ooh, because he hasn't seen really any MC movies yet, and I don't know if I want to start him with that one.
Oh no,
because it's quite a mess. Yeah, it was a year for Marvel. I did really enjoy Thunderbolts as well, but yeah, Christian, anything else you want to say on those before I can share mine next?
I had a difficult time paring these down. It's like my list is going to sound very, I hesitate to say the word normie, but outside of a couple of films, I didn't really branch out too much this year. Most of that being due to a lack of funds. But what I did see, I went to see stuff that I knew I would really like.
Sure. I think there was a range of genres to choose from and types of movies. So it was cool stuff. And now more is coming to streaming. And speaking of that, some of my picks here are available for streaming now. If you haven't seen them, highly recommend. The first, real quick, Life of Chuck. I really want more people to see this movie. I thought it was phenomenal. Directed by Mike Flanagan, based on a non-horror Stephen King story. It's a wonderful experience. There were really, and justifiably so, a lot of comparisons to It's a Wonderful Life in terms of the narrative structure and themes of it. Highly recommend that movie. It is on Hulu now. Friendship is the hardest I've laughed in the theater in a while. That I'm so glad I got to see it there. Tim Robinson's comedy, while not for everyone, is very up my alley. And this was a perfect blend of his very cringy humor merged with horror elements, and I loved it. Eternity is the kind of fantasy rom-com they don't really make anymore, and I thoroughly enjoyed when that comes to streaming as well. Definitely recommend. Marty Supreme, I just saw. I'm not even a big fan of Uncut Gems, and while there are a lot of comparisons to this movie being from Josh Safdie as well, I liked this one a lot as still that very adrenaline-fueled rush of a movie while also being a deconstruction of the sports comedy. Really liked it. Definitely recommend seeing it in theaters. Companion was one of the best horror movies I saw this year. A lot of good horror ones, and it was really hard condensing. I also love Weapons. I love 28 Years Later. Christian, I know you weren't a fan of that. We need to do an episode on that, and because with the new one coming out. But I loved it, though.
Yes.
That was hard not putting in my top 10. And then I Thunderbolts was my favorite, and not just my favorite MCU movie of the year, the only one I liked. Sorry to Captain America and Fantastic Four, but both were disappointing for me. And yeah, so there I could even go on more, but there were a lot of movies that really resonated with me this year. Andy, what about you? What were some of your honorable mentions?
So for me, I went with House of Dynamite, which might have even be in my top 5, but since I talked about it at length on a What's News, I decided to just give it another shout out here. A very well done, well constructed movie, very suspenseful on a very timely topic of nuclear disarmament. And if there are no women in the Oscars directing category again this year, Catherine Bigelow definitely directed an Oscar-worthy, put in an Oscar-worthy directing performance. There may be other women who are worthy, and if they get nominated, that's fine. But there was definitely at least one woman who should be nominated for directing in the Oscars this year. Black Bag. I'm a big fan of Steven Soderbergh when he does deep dives on people being competent at their jobs. And Black Bag is people being competent at intelligence operations and subterfuge. And I also know that it's almost kind of a rom-com in the way that the main characters are putting their skills to use in keeping their marriage going. And I really appreciated that. Even if it's a bit morally dubious, there was something to that charmed me nevertheless. Fantastic Four, a film I enjoyed like 95% of. I felt the ending let it down just a little bit, and that's why it didn't quite crack the top 5. F1, excellent visual experience, fun ride, and as the theme of a middle-aged man exploring his passions on his own terms really spoke to me in ways that perhaps we can explore on another episode on a different topic. And then, I've been a big fan of the Chris McQuarrie Mission Impossible films, and this one I felt like was the least Mission Impossible, but still had some very impressive stunts that were awesome to see on the big screen. And if that's it for this particular arrangement, I think that's we got a nice run of films there. I'll also highlight it was one of at least 3 films that I saw this year that made me feel like I was watching comic book footnotes. Mission Impossible, Happy Gilmore 2, and Spinal Tap. This is Spinal Tap 2. All heavily featured flashbacks to films from 30 years ago, and visually they just really didn't gel the way that that just such a different quality of filmmaking or production and the cinematography and so forth, just very different styles, and so they just didn't match. And so it was very jarring, and it was just kind of funny that 3 different movies did the same thing this year. And yeah, like I said, it just it never before had I felt like I was watching the little comic book footnotes of, check out issue number 305 of Amazing Spider-Man for this story kind of thing. So that was an interesting trend from this year in film. And that's it for my honorable mention.
That's a really good thing to point out. I love Mission Impossible and particularly the McQuarrie movies, but I was a little disappointed by this one. And I think that did really take me out of it. The overt recaps and stuff like that and trying to tie everything in, because I had just rewatched the entire series before seeing the new one, and it was a little jarring. I'm also glad you picked Black Bag, because that was another that was a really good one. Excellent screenplay and excellent direction. But yeah, good pick, Sandy. Evan, what about you?
So for these honorable mentions and for my main list, I threw in not only the films of 2025, but movies that I saw in 2025. So that includes what Dandy mentioned before, Happy Gilmore, but on 1 and 2, because I realized I never saw the first one, so I wanted to see that before seeing the second one. And those were the first one definitely lived up to the hype. The second one was more of a, like all the other Adam Sandler films, just a reason to get people together, So I thought that was fun. Other ones are the Minecraft movie, The Friendship. That was one that I was looking forward to, but it didn't quite make my favorite movies. And the where am I? K-pop Demon Hunters. That was a nice, fun surprise that me and the whole family liked. So yeah.
That's really interesting. You never seen Happy Gilmore. Just because our generation. Oh my gosh, it was like the holy trilogy of Adam Sandler movies of Happy Gilmore, Waterboy, and Billy Madison. But I always liked Waterboy, Billy Madison a little more. But yeah, the second one, like you said, it was a way to bring everyone back together. It was fun enough as a background watch. But yeah, awesome. Well, great picks, guys. And I'm really excited to hear everyone's favorites. And before we do, again, if you're tuning in on YouTube, thank you so much for joining us live here. If you're listening to this later, please rate, review, subscribe. It really helps the show. And if you want to find out ways to support us, please click on the description, click on the link in the description, and you can find out how to become a member. And that will give you all the information, ways to support the show. And if it's your first time here, welcome. I hope you enjoy. Tell your friends about it. And if you're a longtime listener, viewer, welcome back. So, well, guys, let's get into it. I'm really excited to hear everyone's. So we are doing top 5 movies of the year, and we're going to go starting with our number 5 pick and getting eventually to our number 1 favorite movies of the year. So let's do it. So Andy, who are we? Which member is sharing?
Yeah, just to explain, right? We'll start out kind of going round robin through our top 5 and then top 4 and so forth. But at some point they overlap, and so I had to make a decision about how to group things and sort things. So I just gave points, 1 point for 5th place, 2 points for 4th place, and sorted things so that the top film got the most points. So if there's any confusion about the order, that's what's going on, and hopefully it'll be clear as we go. And up first we have Evan's number 5 pick.
So Evan, the assignment was to pick our favorite movies that came out in the year of our Lord 2025. But tell us about this obscure 80s movie directed by Richard Donner called The Goonies.
Right. I completely stumbled upon it. It was a hidden gem of a film, man. Like, I was so surprised. No. So this was a film that, like I said, in the void of this Christmas and New Year's, my son wanted to watch a movie last night, and I couldn't sleep, so I said, "You want to watch The Goonies?" And he goes, "Sure." So we threw it on, and I remember technically I've seen the film, but it was on a bus with no sound on the way from South Florida to Orlando for Rock the Universe. So yes, I saw it, but I didn't really see it. So I kind of just always put it on the back burner. And with all the 80s revival of like the last 10 years or so, I've always been wanting to see it. And when I finally saw it, I was thoroughly surprised, and how fun and just a sense of fun and adventure, and the characters, and seeing everyone in their young form, and I would never forget the face on my son's face when I told him that was Samwise Gamgee from A Lord of the Rings. He was like, "What?" And it was funny because I saw this movie and another film that is on my list here that had the same person in it. So I thought that was ironic. I saw them both in the same night. And seeing this film with the passing of the YouTuber Adam the Woo was very special because he loved this film, and he went to a lot of filming locations for it. And when I finally saw the film, I saw him in it, and it reminded me just of the fun that he brought to his YouTube channel. And so that's my Goonies. Yep.
Evan, thanks for sharing that, and I do want to give a shout out to your friend there. And yeah, especially it hits, I think, when a fellow YouTuber podcaster passes too that you've been following for a long time. So yeah, that's and Evan, I have to ask: did your son also recognize Thanos in this movie?
No.
Or did you point that out?
No.
A young Josh Brolin is there as well.
No. Yeah.
It's a little less purple.
Yeah.
A little bit. Yeah. But no, I also, Andy, I love that you put in the slide here because it's also been a Ke Kwan renaissance in the past few years. Even though I did hear that the movie Love Hurts was terrible, but regardless, I'm excited to see him in leading roles again. I don't really care if he's in. I mean, he was amazing in Everything Everywhere All at Once, and I hope he gets another good movie soon. I did not see Love Hurts, so I can't really talk about it. But I heard it was not good.
I would say it was decent. It wasn't terrible. He was a little bit let down by the material, but I was just so happy to see him getting a chance to be in a leading role and being an action star after his experience as a stunt performer. So maybe I was a little bit rose-colored glasses watching it, but
Sure. I mean, who doesn't like him? He's just like one of the, like, nerd icons and just one of the greatest people in the
and if you pass the Harrison Ford test, you've got to be a solid guy.
Right. I mean, that's it's a distinguisher right now. But yeah, awesome. Well, Evan, thank you for this 1985 pick. I do, but I love the Goonies, so hey, I'm glad.
There we
Andy,
go.
what is our next pick here?
All right. Yeah. The Long Walk. I was really surprised by this film. I wasn't expecting it to be like the greatest or anything like that. And it's not the greatest, but you know what? It made me feel. It made me enjoy these characters. As you know, the general premise being we live in a dystopian America. Something happened some unknown time ago. There's been a divergence in the timeline, and America is not as democratic, shall we say, as we would like it to be. And what they do as a form of entertainment is every year they have what is known as a long walk, where you go from this location to another location, traveling at 3 miles an hour, if I remember correctly, because I think they moved it down a mile an hour from the original book, because they're like, well, this is a little more manageable for human beings to do. And follows a bunch of boys. You get a prize at the end. You get one wish that they have to give you at the end of this. So it's like, why would they go on this journey? What is it about the world right now? How does it need to change? And like, I can't remember another actor's name, but I know my Mark Hamill when I see him. And that man plays a great villain. And now, as he's done for years in voice acting work, and now you can see him live action being, actually got to see him in live action being a great villain in The Last Jedi, but that's its own thing. Here, you see him as a wonderful villain, as a general. He's perfect. I love this movie so much.
Christian, another actor here is the lead, Cooper Hoffman. He's the son of Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Oh,
okay.
wow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He was in Paul Thomas Anderson's Licorice Pizza. Is excellent in that role. And yeah, I was wanting to see him again at some point. But yeah, Mark Hamill also starred in 2 Stephen King movies this year because he is also in The Life of Chuck.
Cool.
Yeah, that one I didn't get the chance to see. But yeah, I don't know actors' names that well. Obviously, I recognize Mark, but the rest, they did a phenomenal job here.
Did you, Christian, when you saw it? Because I saw that there were screenings where the audience could be on a treadmill the entire time while the movie was playing. I think obviously only in like a handful of theaters they did that, or maybe it was even just one. But did you try running while you were watching this movie?
Absolutely not. I'm fat and old.
Thank you all so much for your time listening to this episode. If you want to help sponsor our show, but you can't quite do the membership thing, commit to that once a month payment, good news, you can leave a donation on our Fourth Wall website. You also can get some free content over there. So if you don't have the money for the membership, but you still want to hear some of the extras and bonuses we do over on Fourth Wall, there's an option for that. If you want to support the show without that commitment every month, again, you can donate over there. Every little bit helps. You know, our show has a lot of needs when it comes to equipment, when it comes to going to some of the events we want to go to, advertising, getting the word out about our show. It takes a lot, and we really appreciate each and every person who's able to help us do it, even if it's something free, just like the free membership or leaving a rate and review on our site. Every little bit helps. Your time listening to this helps, and we appreciate all of you. We're so proud of the community we formed over at Systematic Geekology, and we're very happy and we're proud that you're a part of it. Thank you so much for your time and for being a part of this community.
But yeah, it was quite a year for Stephen King. I mean, I know not that he's ever been in some like realm of obscurity by any means, but like in recent years they started making really good Stephen King adaptations again. And he just, and we can talk about Welcome to Derry. There's so much, but this and Life of Chuck came out very close to each other.
And I haven't seen The Running Man yet. I've heard mixed things, but eventually I'll get to it.
I'd say it's worth watching. It was, not anywhere near as good as other Edgar Wright movies. As Andy called it, Edgar Light, which was a beautiful pun there. And I love Edgar Wright. I think he would laugh at that. But yeah, I think it's still worth seeing, though.
Sure.
Awesome. Excellent pick here. Yeah. So, Andy, what is next for us here? All right, my number 5. So this is a tough one to put at it almost feels weird putting it number 5. Like I had a really hard time picking my favorites this year because there were some bangers. And as far as Frankenstein, so my relationship with the book goes back to college when I read it then. My relationship with Guillermo del Toro and his work goes back to middle and high school. He's always been one of my creative heroes and inspirations. He's one of my all-time favorite filmmakers. I love both his more action flair like Hellboy and also his more art house stuff like Pan's Labyrinth, and I think Crimson Peak is actually pretty underrated. But Frankenstein absolutely blew me away. I got to see it in theaters on Halloween night, which was the perfect way to see it. I watched it on Netflix again, about a week later when it came there. And actually, I kind of went in knowing I would probably love it. I mean, it would have been really hard to disappoint me here. But what was really cool was I saw it with one of my best friends who we used to podcast together. And when he came out of it with me, he said, okay, now I get why you like Del Toro so much. Like that, it changed the perception of his work for him. This movie is, while it takes creative liberties from the source material, I think it is very faithful to the spirit of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. Yes, it has plot changes, but and it obviously goes into the sympathetic creature motif that Del Toro is famous for. All of his protagonists in his movies are Shape of Water and Hellboy and so many Blade, even he likes to deal with more horror icons and monsters and make them sympathetic, and this is no different. That may polarize some sort of Frankenstein purists who wanted to see the evils of the monster on full force, and it really, Jacob Elordi's performance, which is phenomenal, but Jacob Elordi's performance and the writing and the vision of this character is very sympathetic, that you never really are demonizing the monster. But also what I found fascinating was it didn't make Victor a one-note villain either. He was very nuanced. He was very the way that it explores that relationship and the way it culminates in the finale, I thought was beautiful. And it is a gorgeous film to look at. This is the kind of movie that Del Toro wanted to make since he was a child, when he first saw the James Well Frankenstein movie and described it as a religious experience. And then he read the novel sometime around the age of 12 or 13. And then he's been chasing it ever since then. And I'm so glad this movie finally got to come to fruition. It's just an exhilarating experience. It's wonderful to look at. It is so rich in character. And again, even with the changes from the source material, I think it still very much captures the essence of the book, that while there have been a million Frankenstein adaptations, a lot of them have not captured that same essence and that same strength. So this is just easily one of my favorites. It was hard not putting it at number 2 or number 1, but I had a lot of favorites this year. My top 5 almost kind of run together in ways. But yeah, if you have not seen Frankenstein, highly recommend. And I, of course, can't wait to see what Del Toro does next.
Yeah, this was an excellent film. I forgot to put it in my honorable mentions, and I had a hard time placing it anyways. And I love what it has to say about forgiveness. And yes, it takes a lot of liberties with the source material. It's a reimagining. I understand that's what Del Toro is doing, but I actually got into an argument with a friend over the end. It's I would never forgive him. Well, yeah, you became the monster. Mm-hmm. If you would not forgiven, that's kind of the point of the film. Victor doesn't deserve it. But at the end of the day, he also gave life to the creature, to Adam. I don't know if they ever call him Adam in the film, but I don't think so. But at the end of the day, it's breaking that cycle of revenge and bitterness and pride and arrogance and learning to forgive someone. And I think Del Toro did an excellent job with that message.
I really got to see this.
Absolutely. And I think it was so well paced too. And it never felt like that storyline was forced or anything. It was just I almost tear up at that final scene there when they do when there is that forgiveness, and it's gorgeously shot. It's just a wonderful journey.
How was Christoph Waltz in? Because him and Del Toro seemed like a perfect match.
Oh, I mean, I would love them to collaborate again.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
Cool.
he played he wrote that role for the movie, like it's not in the book,
Okay.
but yeah, no, there's some. I mean, he's sort of in the kind of toward the end of the first act and part of the second. There's some great scenes between him and Oscar Isaac.
Cool.
Yeah, he's great. Mia Goth is fantastic. Of course, Charles Dance plays the overbearing, strict father that is the catalyst for Oscar Isaac's journey and wanting to prove himself and everything. I just want to see, just for fun, like Charles Dance to play like a nice guy just to see what it's like. But I mean, I know he's going to be typecast like as long as they have roles available for him. But no, it's a wonderful cast all around. Gorgeous cinematography and effects. Was so worth the budget. I mean, I'm so glad I got to see it in theaters, but if you watch it at home, just try to see it on the biggest screen possible. Turn the lights off, really immerse yourself. It's a wonderful experience. So that is my number 5.
All right, by process of elimination, that's me.
All right.
So I went with K-pop Demon Hunters at number 5. The movie sensation of the year. Every time I'm on Netflix, it is still in the top 10 movies. I think it's been there for like 6 months or something crazy like that. I watched this movie partly because I wanted to be able to have a conversation with my 8-year-old niece who is in love with this movie. And yeah, it just I was kind of not sure about it at first, but it charmed me partly through the Tex Avery of it all. Right, so there's a bit where one of the trio, the lead trio is impressed with the abs of another character, and to reflect that, her eyes turn into corn on the cob, and then that corn on the cob starts popping into popcorn, and then her friend starts collecting that popcorn in a bowl and eating it, and I was just that was a solid gag.
That's great.
Pushing out the boat that Tex Avery launched. So that I appreciated that element of the film. And then when we start getting into the demon hunting aspect of it all, and the part demon lead character and all that, I wasn't sure. I wasn't really interested in a movie that was going to make me sympathetic towards demons, and I was a little bit worried that that's where we were going. But I liked it in the end. Where they went was that the sort of demonic influence was trying to hide everything, to not be truthful to yourself or to others about yourself, and that the counterpoint to that was confession and accountability and being open and honest about your past and your present and your hopes for the future and so forth. And so it's not a perfect film. It's not the most profound message. It's definitely aimed at people like my 8-year-old niece more than it is like me, but it was a fun time. And if you're one of the 3 people that somehow has managed not to see it yet, and you have a young person in your life, I don't think you would be ashamed to, or you would waste an hour and a half checking it out. Plus, there's some fun action bits. It's definitely a poppy popcorn kind of movie with some action sequences, some fun songs that have also been in the top of the charts for an extended period of time. And just more fun than it needed to be, more kind of quirky and intriguing than it needed to be, and with a better message than I was expecting going in. So that was how it got into my top 5.
This is an excellent film. I mean, if you've been in the genre, you're going to see cliches abounding from the other things it's building off of. But I don't mean that. That's not a negative critique. Like, it's building off of them. It's not reinventing the wheel. It's just fun. And it has plenty of good things to say about, like you said, about hiding things away and what we shouldn't be doing with that, but also what it means to actually be a team, to have people you can trust in your life. Excellent film. Great choice.
The only thing I did not like about this film was that it's holding up production for the last Spider-Man across the universe.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Like, when are we going to get beyond?
Just come on! But yeah, fantastic film.
One of these days.
Fantastic film.
But I do love everything that this era of Sony animation does. Like, 'cause they also made the Mitchells versus the Machines a few years ago. That was one of my favorites of that year. So yeah, no, I mean, I love that. I mean, hey, put out more original stuff like this, but yes, give us Beyond the Spider-Verse, please. I need it before the world ends, please. Awesome. Well, great pick, Andy. So let us get to Christian's number 4 here.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Predator Killer of Killers is an animated film they released within the Predator universe. We go very anthology style over different periods of human history where predators have come to Earth to try and find the ultimate hunt. And we get some really great moments here. We start off in Scandinavia. We've got our Viking shield maiden. I think her name is Ursa. As she's trying to get revenge against the man who killed her father. She's got her young son with her, but then the predator comes in, things all go to hell. And eventually she is able to kill the monster after losing pretty much everything. Then we go forward to our next segment where we are in Japan around like the 17th century, early 17th century, if I remember correctly, where we've got 2 sons who used to be under a like warlord. They get messed up in a duel early on. One gets flees from the clan, and later on he comes back to get his revenge. Then the predator comes in, and they have to work together, brother and brother, once again. Have some tragedy again, and the predator is killed. Then we go to, actually, I think my favorite segment here is the last one as far as the original anthology part goes, where we've got a young man who is drafted into the army, Torres, who becomes a fighter pilot. They're in the middle of the Atlantic, about to head into the North African campaign. And that's when a predator ship comes in and starts loosing hell upon everyone. So we don't get a on the ground fight, we get a dog fight with a predator spaceship. Does it make logical sense? No, but you know what? It's fun. It's great. And he is eventually able to, take down that predator ship. And then we learn when we get to our next segment that what the predators like to do as a species is if you kill one of them, they take you, kidnap you, put you in cryostasis for an unknown amount of time. For Ursula, it's at least like maybe 1,200 years at the earliest for her to have been taken out of cryosleep. And then they put you all in an arena fighting against like the predator king, and we get our group actually working together here to escape. And that's where we kind of leave, where they're able, like, this kind of the Bolivian army ending of, do they escape? Do they not? And we also get some really fun segments of seeing past Predator victors, including Prey and Predator 2, of them being in cryosleep too, leading for obviously sequels along the way if they choose to do so. I loved this film. Everything you care about the Predator universe, of them, like, the things people have been saying for years. I want to see a predator in this time period doing this. Well, guess what? You got 3 in 1, and they do a spectacular job with it. I love this film.
So I really need to see this one. I did love Badlands, and like, I commend Dan Trachtenberg for really reviving and committing to this franchise and making people care about it again, because I mean, Prey was fantastic. And then, no, I've heard great things about this one. I need to watch it, but yeah, I mean, Badlands was great. And I as someone who, I love the original, I never really cared about any of the sequel spinoffs, really. They were just like, they never really hit the same bar. But this is one where it's just a match made in heaven. He understands the lore and the mythology so well. He knows how to tell great stories. And yeah, I mean, Badlands, especially for me, was just such a wild ride where they made something was a PG-13 Predator movie with like him and Dakota Fanning along this head, and like they had humor in it that I feel like in the hands of anyone else it could have been terrible, and he knocked it out of the park. So I'm very much looking forward to this one.
I'd only ever seen Prey, and I had a good time with this film as well, and it made me excited about Predator Badlands. I don't know if I'm a Predator fan or a Dan Trachtenberg fan, but that was a good time at the movies.
And they have all the ingredients now to make a good AVP movie if they want to, and I hope they do. Right. Give him the reins, and I liked Alien Romulus. I would be like, there was talk about like the two of them teaming up to make an AVP movie. I'm like, hey, go for it. So we'll see. But great pick here. But yeah, Evan, are you into Predator stuff at all, or did you get to see either of these?
Technically, yes, I am into it. I just don't have the time for it. It's on my list. This and like you said, Romulus, and I've seen some of the show. the most recent show. But I'm just glad that Dan's getting work again because I remember him from back in the day on the old like film forums and stuff like that. It's cool to see him getting good work and doing so well from what I see.
Absolutely, yeah. Great pick here. All right, Andy, what is we have next here?
It's me again. So this, as I was alluded to before, A House of Dynamite's probably a better movie than this, and maybe a more consequential movie than this. But this movie just charmed me so much that I had to throw it in here somewhere. So this is a love story between an orbital satellite and a data collecting buoy in the ocean. So
Cool.
It is set sometime after most, if not all, of life on Earth has gone extinct. But before we went away, we apparently put these satellites in orbit that are there to explain to any aliens that come by in the future what Earth was all about, what had happened in the past, and how it came to be uninhabited again, and a little bit of a potted history of human culture and so forth. And so that satellite is just zipping around waiting for somebody to show up, and the oceans have frozen over, and so this data collecting buoy that I think is actually a real thing, or at least inspired by actual buoys that we've deployed for monitoring climate change and so forth. Anyway, the oceans thaw, this buoy reactivates and starts talking to the satellite that's been waiting to send its message to somebody, and makes a connection with this buoy, and they start talking. And at first they're just playing their sort of pre-recorded messages at each other, but eventually they start to develop personalities, and they start to explore what it would mean to have personhood and how they want to represent themselves. And they go through sort of several stages of trying to figure out how to present themselves to each other. And they learn how to be human by watching silly YouTube videos. And it just, I don't know, it was just very charming.
Cool.
These two actors just kind of going through learning what it is to be human. And I don't say this as a criticism, but especially with Kristen Stewart, like, I can believe that she needed to learn how to become a human, and I mean that in the best way possible, as a compliment to her performance. And yeah, it just I also appreciated it's a movie that is really interested in deep time. It starts with a sort of montage, a time lapse montage of the Earth forming, from the cooling of different asteroids and rocks and things that coalesced and formed the Earth, and the formation of the moon, the collision that forms the moon. If I remember correctly, like it goes all the way that far back through, the emergence of life and the emergence of land and land animals and land plants and so forth up to the present. And then, because these our main characters are, electronics, they have a much longer lifespan, so it explores deep time into the future as well. And they have a different sort of relationship because they exist for a much longer period of time than humans. And yeah, I really thought it was an interesting film to contemplate, and a very different story than I was seeing anywhere else. And so I just wanted to give it a little bit of a shout out.
That sounds really cool. I really want to check this out.
Yeah. I remember seeing the trailer for this one because I've not watched the movie itself. And I remember at the end of it saying, that's the dumbest thing I've ever seen, but that's also the most brilliant thing I've ever seen. So I'm glad someone went out there for an idea like this, and I'm glad it worked for you. I don't think I'm ever going to watch it, but like I said, I'm glad someone's willing to experiment with such an idea.
I definitely want to check this out. Andy, you always have really good, like, deeper cut recommendations. So this sounds fascinating, actually. And
I'm not going to lie.
Likewise, I think I commend filmmakers who go for really out there ideas, and can be ambitious there.
What comes to mind is something kind of absurd, almost, is Swiss Army Man. So I'm wondering if that's
Great
any
movie.
kind of basis for it, almost, or like a pairing of it. It seems like something like that.
That's one of the strangest and most exhilarating movies I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I mean, the Daniels then went on, of course, to do Everything Everywhere. So that's a great movie with Daniel Radcliffe and Paul Dano. Yeah, good pick. Awesome. Well, Andy, thanks so much. This is a great pick here. I love it.
what do we got next?
Let's see. All right, my number 4. So this is another one that, well, this one was really interesting. Like when I think about Frankenstein and some of the others, like even before I saw those movies, I kind of figured they would be like, they would have to be really disappointing for me, them to not be favorites of mine. Eddington, written and directed by Ari Aster. This was a surprise for me in terms of how much I liked it, because even as a big horror fan, I'm not the biggest fan of Hereditary. And then Midsummer, I like it a little bit more, but his tone is almost just too depressing and nihilistic for me. And it's weird because I'm not going to say that this movie is any different in regard. It is set in the summer of 2020. So a very happy time, for the world. And it's set in a fictionalized town in New Mexico. Right at the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, and Joaquin Phoenix plays the town sheriff, who I would say is sort of like libertarian. He's grown up there. He knows the community well, and he's getting pretty frustrated with government mandates and doesn't really believe that the virus is as big a deal as some others, whereas Pedro Pascal, in the year of Pedro Pascal, where he was in everything, plays the mayor, who is very progressive, but while not necessarily a villain or inherently bad, he's sort of a performative liberal. And the movie really does an interesting job exploring both of their personalities, their characters, their conflicting ideologies, and it never boxes either of them or any of the other characters into stereotypes. It really gives a more nuanced portrayal, but more so than that, this is a film that is about how we consume information in the modern day. And Ari Aster even said in interviews that the internet wrote this movie. He had written a version of the script years ago because he wanted to make a modern Western, and that's ultimately what it's a dystopian Western and satire. It's hard to put into one box, and I like that about the film, that it's not easily categorized. But he wrote this Western years ago, and then his filmmaking career took off, and it kind of was put in the back burner. So he made Hereditary and Midsummer and Beau is Afraid. But then 2020 happened, and he really wanted to come back to the script he had written and rework it to fit into the modern social media age, and specifically set it during the era of the pandemic. And what he's crafted, I think, is a mesmerizing experience in terms of, like I said, satire, genre-defying aspects, but again, really about the ways that information is constantly fed to us, and we get all these conflicting ideologies, but also we're not really good in modern age about identifying sources and verifying information. We just get it, fed to us in constant social media posts, and this ideology is trending today, so we should latch onto it. And it examines all of that. It does not have black and white characters. Like, as far as who's the hero and the villain, that's not really much the question. These are very flawed, complicated characters, and I never knew where it was going. I was enthralled the whole time. I was laughing in it's very dark humor. I'm not going to say it's light by any means, but it was funny in the way it was meant to be. The cinematography is phenomenal. So this was the first Ari Aster film that I really loved. And, I hesitate saying that films like this are enjoyable, but it was just a visceral experience. And, it's going to elicit a lot of different reactions, and it already has. But I think the people that have responded well to it share similar thoughts as me in terms of, the way it presents these characters, their viewpoints, and again, you never know where it's going next. And right down to the very ending, I was like, what is going on? And I've seen it twice. Highly recommend it. I'm really glad I got to see it in theaters. And it also, it may have been another reason why I was even more disappointed by Fantastic Four, because I saw this on a Thursday night, and then I saw Pedro Pascal in Fantastic Four the next day. He's great in both, but I just came away from this mesmerizing original movie to what I thought was a very underwhelming comic book movie, in my opinion. But this is one I highly recommend. One of the most original, exhilarating experiences of the year. Also some great supporting performances by Deirdre O'Connell, Emma Stone, Austin Butler. This is just this was a truly great modern Western and satire. And and again, even for people like me who weren't as on the hype train of Ari Aster previously, this film brought me into his fan base. So
I haven't seen this one. I do intend to, but without seeing the film and hearing you talk about it, what I can truly appreciate is someone attempting to not make you agree with why someone would think a certain way, but help you understand why they think the way that they do, which is a lost art in the world. Just because I do disagree with a lot of people doesn't mean that I despise them and I want them to be downtrodden. I want to understand why they think the way that they do, so we can actually work on stuff. So that's a very noble goal. And I'm sure there were plenty of people who said he sold out when he did something like that. Actually, I think I remember seeing an article somewhere of someone saying that about him.
Oh, wow.
But without seeing the film, it sounds like he succeeded if you're praising it as highly as you are.
Yeah. Oh, I remember when the trailer came out and I was looking at the comment section on YouTube, and one of them was like, "Oh, I'm sure this film's going to go over well on Twitter." I'm not even on Twitter anymore, but I mean, but I like movies like that elicit very strong reactions, for better word. I mean, I don't think anyone will dispute the visual quality and the performances here, but as far as how you react to the story and the characters and everything, that's going to be very divisive, and I appreciate that. It was a really bold film to make.
I really want to see it.
That is my number 4 pick.
Yeah, but I do want to point out the poster that we're looking at here. That's a beautiful poster.
Right? And they don't make posters like that anymore.
Yeah. Yep.
Poster making is another lost art.
Yeah.
Which we lost
That's
too this
right.
year. The great Drew Struzan,
Yeah.
and made some of the most iconic film posters of all time. Yeah. And they make just slop now that you almost makes you not want to see a movie. Mm-hmm. So I appreciate when they do a great poster like this. Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome. Well, and that is on HBO Max if you want to check it out.
Perfect.
So yep. Cool. All right, Andy. Well, what is next here?
Oh, we're back to me. This is the problem of picking movies that nobody else picked.
Cool.
So my number 3 is a documentary film called Wick is Pain, about, as you might guess, the making of the John Wick films. It's mostly focused on the first film for much of its runtime, but it does go all the way up through John Wick number 4. And I was a late comer to the John Wick films just because I wasn't sure about the level of violence and so forth. But I've been following the 87 studios folks, the stunt performers Chad Stahelski and David Leitch and their crew that formed sort of their own independent stunt company and filmmaking company after working on The Matrix. Chad Stahelski was Keanu Reeves' stunt double on all the first 3 Matrix films. He actually appears in the fourth film as a clever gag with that. And so they've been kind of doing this stunt business where they sort of drop in and provide stunt services for a lot of films. And so a lot of the I remember at one point going and looking through IMDb and go, oh yeah, all the movies that I remember going, oh, that was a cool stunt sequence, that was a cool fight sequence, they were all pointed back to one or both of those guys and their 87 studios. So they eventually got to the point where they were able to make their own film, and that was John Wick, and then the subsequent films. And this is the exploration of that. And it just it is an encouraging and uplifting story about following what you think, you're following your passion, following what you think is important and worth doing well, working hard to learn how to do something well, and putting the effort and the pain and working through the pain to get through it. There was a lot of physical pain, obviously, that they had to go through to make these John Wick films because they were so stunt heavy, because of the possibilities for injury and so forth. Fortunately, there are no significant, like life altering injuries that happen as a result over the films, to the best of my knowledge. But there's obviously little things that people have to deal with, and also the emotional and sort of psychological challenges of making a movie that nobody was really sure about and nobody really believed in. And at one point, John Wick wasn't going to get made. They'd started filming it, and they got to a weekend where they weren't sure that they were going to have money to pay people on Monday, and they kind of scramble through the weekend to come up with more funding so that they could finish the film. And so I appreciated the insight into the filmmaking process on various levels, and the celebration of the folks who do the stunts that are often so invisible in a lot of films. And the thing I like about the John Wick films themselves is that they've elevated those stunt performers to being able to either perform as themselves or to get to make their own movies the way that they see fit. And the documentary also puts a lot of names and faces to stunt performances that even still you might not know who was behind them. And so I appreciated that as well, that they just they get the stunt guys to come on and talk about what their job is like and their contributions to this film and their their skill and their artistry.
Andy, is this streaming somewhere? Because I'm a big John Wick fan.
Yeah, I believe that I saw it on Netflix. It is also it had a very limited theatrical release and then went to like video on demand pretty quickly. And then I think it turned up on Netflix, but it was definitely streaming somewhere.
I'll definitely check it out. I mean, I love the John Wick films, and like you said, it's the craftsmanship that goes into them is phenomenal. And hey, if you need a reason to get through the violence, it's just understand that the catalyst is that the bad guys kill his dog in the first one. So spoiler alert, but that's all you need to justify every bit of violence he does.
And there is a lot of discussion of that dog sequence in Wick is Pain. Nobody liked it. Nobody wanted it in the films. Everybody thought it was a terrible idea that you can't hurt a dog, that you're going to lose your audience. And obviously, famously, it has turned out to be the thing that makes people sympathetic to John Wick, that has made the films be something that people can engage with. There's also just an adorable sequence of so obviously they didn't murder a real puppy. There's an adorable short little sequence in the documentary where they show taking there are points where Keanu Reeves is basically cuddling a stuffed animal as he's grieving the death of John Wick's dog. And then to set up that scene, they took the stuffed dog and like walked its little paws through the fake blood and made little fake blood footprints on the floor with the paws of the stuffed animal. And it is just so sweet and funny to see these big burly stunt guys making their big burly stunt movie that involves walking a tiny little stuffed animal along the floor.
Oh, I love it.
That's why these are so great. Looking at behind the scenes stuff like this, I didn't even notice it released. Like you, Andy, I got into the film super late, and I enjoy them. I couldn't tell you anything that happens outside of the first one, but I mean, they're just fun.
Nonsense on top of nonsense.
Like seeing like why did we decide to film it this way, or the scene you were talking about the dog, like. I'm not one of those people with the dog dies, like everything's ruined for me. Not that I hate dogs or anything like that, but 50 people just died in the last scene, but we're grieving over a dog. I'm going to go human over animal. But to see like why they had such a struggle with that, I like watching the behind the scenes stuff like that. So I'll definitely check this out at some point in time. Thanks for letting me know.
I love that this exists.
He rides a horse in one of the other movies, and then him and Donnie Yen fight. That's I
vaguely remember something like that.
I have a funny story about these films. When the first one came out, me and my high school friends, we reconnected on social media because we were like, guys, have you seen John Wick? We're like, yeah, because John Wick is basically the films that we were making in high school, and the funny part is I vividly remember us in our TV production class going over the story beats and the impetus of our film was going to be a death of the main character that sends him into like a violent rage. And we made 4 films about it. But the funny part is that that one of our options for the impetus of his story was the death of his pet, and we were like, nah, that's too silly. That's too silly.
Lo and behold, you had that is so cool though. But Evan, lo and behold, you could have created the John Wick franchise.
It's the pretty much the same films that we were making. They're so just exaggerative and just creative, cool fight scenes and stuff. So we won a honorable mention at a film festival for one of the films. Yeah.
Are these visible anywhere?
One of them is on my YouTube channel. If you want to go find
we
it,
need to see this.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
One of them are.
Viewers, you have an assignment.
Go for it. Super cringy. So, but they're fun.
Very cool.
That's what every creator says about their work.
I'm
no different.
Same.
It's super cringy. You shouldn't watch it. Don't look.
Don't look. Yes.
Awesome. Well, Andy, excellent pick here. I'm definitely checking this one out. So, what do we have next here?
All right. Weapons. This was another one that I don't want to say it surprised me so much as it exceeded expectations spectacularly. After, once again, really only watching a lot of things that I knew the IP behind it. I knew Kreger's work, obviously, for what he's done before, but there was that hesitancy of like, am I going to spend my money on something that I don't know I'm guaranteed to like it? Well, guess what? I took the risk, and it was well worth the risk. This is a fantastic film of, dealing with the threat of a small town losing their children after one night. At the same time, they all run away. Naruto running as they do to a place where no one knows where they went. The teacher of their class is under suspicion, even though there was no logical way she could have been behind anything. But like, it doesn't matter because it goes behind the paranoia of such things. Can you trust the people watching your children, from the administration down to your teacher? How well do you know the parents, the children in your son or daughter's class, and the paranoia that exists in a town where everything's supposed to be fine and everything has never been fine, but you maintain like there is this normalcy, even though it's not, even though that there are people in the community that aren't as well off as others, that aren't as mentally as well off as better as other people. And and when we go into the fantastical later on the film, like it doesn't break anything. Like the explanation is someone who loves when people explain things versus making them ambiguous. I love when we get the reveal here of what actually happens and how the perpetrator behind these events has done what they've done and why they would do what they do. But it also doesn't spell everything out for you. And Kevin and I, we talked about this a while back on What's New. It trusts its audience enough to not like, here, let me shove this in your mouth. You're going to eat and feed everything that I tell you. But like, no, there's enough there. You go, oh, let me connect the dots myself. But not enough for me to go, I had no way of ever explaining that myself. I think Kreger does an excellent job of giving you enough to make this film even better when you feel like you've been rewarded for your efforts for watching the film and paying attention.
It's a great movie. I mean, I love horror like this. This was really hard not to put as one of my favorites, but again, I had a lot of favorites this year. But no, it's Kreger's direction is phenomenal. I really love the narrative structure of this movie. Also, Josh Brolin looks a little different here than he does in Goonies. I thought they were the same year. But yeah. Oh, and fun fact too is that I know everyone talked about how Pedro Pascal was in everything this year. This was the one time where he couldn't be everywhere all at once. He was gonna have the Josh Brolin role originally, but had to drop out because of scheduling conflicts. So we got he saved some room for another actor here. But yeah, this is a great movie. Wonderful cast, wonderful execution. I am so excited to see what Zach Kreger does next. I know he is his Resident Evil movie is actually coming out later this year. And then I want to see him do IP stuff. I wanted to see him do a more original. This and Barbarian was just a back-to-back, like, excellent original horror movies.
Oh yeah.
This movie helped crystallize for me part of why I didn't respond to the ending of Lost as much as I wanted to. So this movie was very much marketed as a mystery and constructed as a mystery. And when the answer to the mystery is something made up and therefore arbitrary, for me that's unsatisfying as a solution to a mystery. Was the movie very well made? Yes. Is it interestingly constructed so that it unravels all those things in the way that you described? Absolutely. But yeah, for me, that was unsatisfying as the answer to a mystery of, it's a arbitrary made up thing that has all the features that it needed to explain the mysterious things. Very nice. Okay, good job. But that could have literally been anything. But yeah, I can get why people responded to it the way they did, because yes, it is very well done. But yeah, I realized that's I appreciated that the movie helped me to understand something better about myself, about what I like and don't like in mystery storytelling.
No, Andy, I love when you go contrarian, not just because you want to be provocative. Like this is your legitimate feelings on the matter, because this is how you've thought through it. Like it's nice to have someone say, "I love this film. It's this," and you say, "Well, this doesn't work for me because," and you actually explain yourself. So Thank you for that.
Absolutely. No, and I like it. And Andy, I have heard others share that. I think it was really this movie comes down to the ending, how people felt about it. I think, and I do think part of it too, for me, was the performance of the villain was so good. That had a lot to do with it. But yeah, no, I mean, because I talked to others who were like pretty underwhelmed by the ending. I think everyone likes the execution of it up until that point, and the ending is going to be very hit or miss. And it worked for me, but like Christian said, I very much like. I like how you state your opinions and give reasons as to why you responded to this or didn't.
And it's absolutely an aesthetic thing that I can understand that other people would respond in the exact opposite way.
No, this movie was spoiled for me into memes, but I could see, just from seeing that, I felt the same way as you, Andy. I was like, oh, really? Oh, I guess. Okay.
Like, I do think Barbarian is a better written film, and it really packs a bonkers ending there. But I still really enjoyed this one. Like I said, I really want to see what Kreger does next. So, very cool. All right, Andy, what do we have next? Okay, my number 2 here. All right, so one battle after another. Yeah, it looks like my number 3 will be talking a little bit because that overlaps with several others. But one battle after another is my number 2 pick. I know I talked about this in a What's News episode. This is the big Paul Thomas Anderson action new American classic, starring Leonardo DiCaprio, Sean Penn, Benicio del Toro, Chase Infinity, Tiana Taylor. This is another one where I just was exhilarated the whole time. This tells the story of an ex-revolutionary played by DiCaprio who gets back into action when his daughter is on the run from his old nemesis. And what was really interesting, I've talked to a lot of people who love this movie like I did from the beginning. I talked to some friends from church who they turned it on and they got really bored after the first 20 minutes because it has one of the longer intros in recent movie history. It does this entire prologue involving the past with DiCaprio, his wife, and the revolutionary group they were a part of. For me, I loved it. I thought it was a great way to introduce, them in this younger era of the revolution and introduce Sean Penn's villain, who Sean Penn, it gives a tremendous performance. I don't even like Sean Penn as a person. He's probably one of my least favorite people, but phenomenal actor. And he absolutely decimates in this performance as one of the most sinister villains I've seen in years. For that, I would be okay with him getting an Oscar. I don't, he's not ever someone I would want to, and that became solidified by interviews I read with him. I'm like, I don't like this guy, but But great performance, and it helped that he was playing such a despicable villain. I didn't have to root for him, but yeah, this is just a whirlwind of a movie. It's incredibly well directed. I mean, Paul Thomas Anderson. When I think about like my favorite directors, he doesn't immediately come to mind. Like, I mean, I love, some of his films certainly, but I'm not like an Anderson connoisseur. This one really catapulted him into, consideration for one of my favorites. And I love the stylistic choices he makes. I love the way he works with actors. It's just a wild ride, and it's like Eddington in many ways. While not as dark there, it's very funny in a way. I mean, this is even labeled as a comedy in many ways. It was one of the funniest movies I've seen in this year, because despite the subject matter of, white supremacists working from inside the government and these revolutionaries fighting back against a military who is cracking down on immigration, which is obviously very timely for today. Despite all of that and the heavy-handed themes here, it also very much, and not even made an effort, it just did it, intentionally as a satirical look at all this. And it's funny, it's riveting, it's wildly entertaining. If anything, I've heard some criticisms, and I kind of agree with this, that I would have liked, I think it would have been interesting to have the movie almost entirely from Chase Infinity's character's perspective as the daughter Willa. I think she has the most interesting story. And while it was funny watching DiCaprio playing this bumbling middle-aged ex-revolutionary, and it leads to some of the funniest moments in the movie, I think her story was the most captivating, because she was one who she's been told her whole life that not to do this, and this, and not have a phone, and be very careful. And she doesn't even know whether her parents' revolution, in the past was real or not. I think that would have been, in some ways, a more interesting narrative to explore. And Chase Infinity gives a great performance. But nonetheless, I still love how this movie came together. It's a riveting soundtrack. It's riveting cinematography. Just a wild experience from start to finish. And I cannot recommend enough. And it's one of those where I don't judge people if they don't like it, but I'm just like, I almost like interrogate them. Like, what is it you didn't like? I just want to know. I need to know that, because it was one I've seen 3 times, and has become just a new classic, and is already making a lot of people's lists of not just best movies of the year, but best movies of the 21st century. I don't think I would dispute that. I had a great time with this film.
Certainly impressive. I haven't watched this one, but it does sound like the film my dad, brother, and I would just, if we were just on Netflix or whatever, trying to pick out a movie, we'd end up on this one.
You've got a chance. It's on HBO Max now. Just dropped like a couple weeks ago.
Since you asked, both this and Eddington were movies that I was really vibing with for most of the way through, and they both in different ways make some plot choices in the final like 15 or 20 minutes that maybe I just didn't understand what was going on thematically, but to me they felt like they were either at odds with or muddying the themes that the movie had been developing otherwise. And so, I would say in both cases they were like 90%, and I said something similar about Fantastic Four, I guess, although in a very different way. But like 90% of a movie that I enjoyed, and then at the end kind of went, well, wait a minute, I'm not sure I understood. And again, it might be me. Maybe I didn't understand what the movie was saying with those plot choices, or maybe I misunderstood the themes leading up to that point. But there were just they took some left turns that I couldn't quite follow.
It is quite an ending, and I do think this film in particular is rewarding with multiple watches. There's a lot more to get out of it, because the first time you're just kind of experience this big action adventure epic and satire. But I agree. I think, as particularly the ending, there's a lot to take away from it on rewatches. But I think what it has to say without spoilers is that a new generation inherits the problems of the past, and there's this like hope of hopefully they can make a better world and learn from the mistakes of the past. And it's not a pro-violence film by any means. I saw some like I particularly like conservative commentators say that, and I disagree. But I really like the ending, particularly with the letter. I won't spoil who that's from and who it's directed toward, but that was a really powerful scene for me. But it is kind of worthy of really dissecting and watching multiple times to see really what you think of how the themes come together or don't.
Yeah, and I would agree that those were the themes that I was getting from it, but then I didn't understand why the Christmas adventurers played the role that they did in the plot. And I felt like if the main characters had more to do with the resolution of certain storylines, that it would have made more sense to me thematically than having the Christmas adventurers play the role that they did. And that's my attempt to be not entirely spoilery, but hopefully you understand what I'm getting at.
Yeah. I do. I think without spoiling too, I'll just say my takeaway is that it points to the stupidity of fascism, and with the infighting there and their own roles. That's kind of my initial takeaway. I'll have to think about it more though. But you raised a good point. Yeah. So awesome. Well, Andy, what do we have next? I know that was my number 2.
Yep. So now we're up to my number 2, and Evan's number 3 of Thunderbolts. Do you want to say some words, Evan?
I'm just glad that this film exists in the capacity that it does. I was very surprised in this, this mental health, a positive, friendship positive film and a superhero film, and I'm just, I wanted to put it a little bit higher on my list, but I'm glad that it wasn't.
Yeah, I will echo what you said. And yeah, I like that the way the film resolves emphasizes de-escalation as much as I enjoy an action sequence and a stunt sequence and a fight sequence as much as anybody else. Thematically, I thought that was a good place to go to explore the value of de-escalation. And like you say, the value of mental health support and friendship and all of that. It also felt like, the MCU doing what it does best, bringing together different characters that hadn't been together before and sparking new kinds of dynamics and new relationships, as well as building off of, existing good relationships or good dynamics like the Yelena Red Guardian dynamic. And I don't fully understand why they haven't done more of that. It seemed like that was a good thing that came out of the Infinity Saga, was the way that all the different characters crossed over and interacted, and I think that's the biggest thing that's been missing in the post Endgame MCU. So it was nice to see here that they were bringing together some different folks, giving spotlight to folks that maybe had been underused in their previous appearances. Hello, Ghost and Taskmaster. Although you could make the case that Taskmaster was underserved yet again, and I would not argue with you on that point. But it was a lot of fun.
You could say that she was ghosted.
You could say that, and you would be making a double entendre, and well done for you.
There we go.
Yeah, I know.
This
go ahead, Christian.
Yeah, sorry, Kevin. This film surprised me in a good way. After hearing about more reshoots and other deadlines coming up, I was like, oh, please, can we not have Brave New World again? Because that's what plagues that film immensely and destroys the messages it's trying to bring. And you know what? I think, and the other thing, I was like, how are these fools supposed to take on the Sentry? This is where you introduce him and you make him like a villain for the film. It's like, I came in this film expecting it to be bad. And you know what? I got one of the better MCU films we got this year. I would put Fantastic Four above it just slightly. But I think that's more because I jive with them a little more as characters. But the Thunderbolts did a great job of bringing these misfit idiots together, establishing why they wouldn't work as a team and yet why they also would work as a team after everything they've gone through. We get a good introduction for the Sentry. Then we get all the machinations of Valentina as well. She doesn't get the repercussions she would have in a different movie, but the repercussion is that she's forced to work with people she doesn't like, and she tried to actively have murdered. So it's not like she's won at the end of the day. It's more like a mutual, we can both blow each other up, thermonuclear war, as it were, if we want to expose each other's secrets. So I enjoy this film for what it is.
Yeah, likewise. I mean, I know we did an episode on it earlier in the year where we dive deeper, but I really enjoyed this one. I mean, like Christian said, I mean, it was concerning with all the behind the scenes stuff they had, but this was great director. It was a solid script. I really, these are probably some of my favorite characters in the post Endgame world, and I was really glad they got to come together. It's well done. I wish they would make more kind of like self-contained but good team up movies like this, where you don't have to do a ton of homework going in. You can just kind of go ahead and watch it. And yeah, it had a message. It gives us on mental health. The action was really well done. I in an era of MCU that's very clunky and not a lot of hits, this was by far this and Daredevil Born Again, despite its flaws, were my top MCU things this year.
Yeah, and I would agree with Christian that I think I vibe with the Fantastic Four characters more. And like I said, most of that movie was I probably enjoyed more than this, but this one just felt like it was more complete or more consistent all the way throughout. That its ending matched what it had been doing leading up to that. Whereas I felt like the Fantastic Four just kind of, we could have done better then, and then we pull the oldest gag in the book on Galactus and shove him a little bit.
Good stuff. Yes, definitely check out Thunderbolts if you have not already. Like, even if you've been kind of checked out of MCU, I think this is a good one. Awesome. Well, Andy, what do we have next here?
All right. Yeah, apologies
number
back
one.
to back, but that was just how the sorting worked out.
No
Evan, you want to start again?
Man, Wake Up Dead Man. It's the third anthology almost, right? For the Knives Out films, and the themes and the setting and the characters. I just related so much to this film. It was so well executed, a solid mystery thriller where it wasn't. It was kind of Scooby-Doo-ish, but in a professional way, in a sense. And it was a tie between my first and my number two. I could not choose which one I liked the most. So just for sake of placement, I put it at number two. But this film was right up there. Those the themes right off the bat of the two parts of belief and non-belief trying to coexist, and in the end they can coexist in a way that's beneficial to you and to those around you, was a theme that really resonated with me. And I love that it's a Rian Johnson joint. He's one of my favorite directors out there. So
yeah, I mean, this was there might be some recency bias in that I just watched it and had a good time watching it with my family, but
same.
I just felt like this was in a movie where there were a lot of in a year rather where there were a lot of movies that I thought were good and I enjoyed. This was one that stood out as a really great film. As somebody who's still figuring out his own relationship to his evangelical upbringing and evangelical present.
Right.
I appreciated what Rian Johnson was exploring here. Appreciated that we get characters who are, sincere and religious, but in a way that is depicted positively and constructively. And, as a mystery, for me, again, as I alluded to before, because the resolution of the mystery involves things that make sense to me and that I can see where they were coming from. I didn't work it out in advance. I won't claim that I had solved it before Benoit Blanc did, but it was satisfying in a way that I could see where all the pieces were coming from. I could see that the pieces had been in place. Chekhov's Lazarus door was put on the shelf in the first act, and and so forth. So the mystery element of it I enjoyed. It went some places that I didn't expect, but in ways that made sense and that were satisfying. And yeah, it's just a pleasure to watch Daniel Craig inhabit this character and to say things like Scooby Dooby Doo.
He's always so
and surprise us with the layers of his character as well, and that he doesn't have a huge change of heart, but he does go through his own journey and deals with his own relationship to belief in things that aren't necessarily empirical. And so, yeah, I appreciated just about everything that this movie was doing.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it as well. I did get to see it in theaters because friend who is a huge murder mystery buff, we've seen all the Knives Out movies in theaters, and I thought this was the best. Like, I think it was objectively the best of the three for me. The other two are funnier, but this one, like you said, I mean, it was just the most interesting in terms of exploring the religious themes, and I was really engaged by the mystery element. Great cast. Brian Johnson films are just always fun. Sorry, Christian. Yeah, this one was just like, it's so much to dissect here. I know we could do a whole episode on it. But yeah, it was another one. It was hard not making my top list because, again, a lot of favorites this year, but I did really love this one.
Yeah, I'm behind on this film series. I haven't watched Glass Onion yet, so I'm eventually going to get to them because I did enjoy Knives Out ultimately at the end of the day, but it's not like high priority. But it is good to hear because I've heard from other people that the religious themes it explores here are well worth like checking out this film for. So it's on my list.
And the Star Wars reference is beautiful. Star Wars reference only that Rian Johnson can do. Because you can tell he's not over the catastrophic break that happened in the fandom in 2017.
Christian knows nothing about that. He hasn't.
No. But the greatest thing these films do is prevent him from making that trilogy he wants to make for Star Wars, allegedly, along with the 50 other films they announced that never going to happen.
True, yeah.
I still want to see it.
We'll get to the one that actually is coming out in a few months when we do our looking forward to 2026. But yeah.
Which I question making that a movie, but you know what? They can do what they want.
Yeah. Sweet. But yes, another Knives Out movie. Good, really great stuff. But I definitely recommend.
Not Starfighter, the other one.
Yeah. I know what you mean. Oh, I know what you're referring to. Yeah.
Hey, podcast fam. Want to stay even more connected with the show? We've got you covered. Check us out on Instagram and Blue Sky, where we're posting exclusive content and bonus videos and fun updates that you won't get anywhere else. From sneak previews of upcoming episodes to bonus content, our social accounts are the best way to keep the conversation going. Plus, it's a great spot for you to interact with other listeners and share your thoughts. We love hearing from you. When you follow us, it helps us grow and continue bringing you the content that you love. Whether it's a funny poll, a quick clip from today's episodes, or just random thoughts, you'll feel more plugged into everything we're doing. So go ahead and hit that follow button on Instagram and Blue Sky. It's one more way to be a part of the show and keep the good vibes flowing. Thanks for being a part of the family, and we can't wait to see you there.
But yeah. Well, Andy, Evan, great pick. Anything else you want to say on it?
I think that's it.
The music was the music choices
good
in the background. There was some Larry Norman in the bar and stuff like that. Like some the real deep cuts if you know where to look. Oh, and I would like to push the supporter of this show, Trip Fuller. He did a talk with Rian Johnson about this film and the themes behind it and the oranges behind it, and it's a great talk. It's a great talk with him.
That was pretty awesome that he got the interview.
Right.
Yeah, sweet, awesome. Well, Andy, what do we have next? I know we're going way over time, but I figured this would be a packed episode. So as long as we're not super hungry right now, let's keep going.
You may or may not be glad to know that we're done with my picks. So we're on to Kevin's number one, and a movie also on Christian and Evan's list.
Perfect. So yeah, I mean, like we're doing my number one because it's my number three also overlapped with some, but I mean, for me, you can hear my in-depth thoughts on Superman earlier this year in different episodes, but is this the best movie of 2025? No. Is it my favorite? Yes. And there are so many reasons. I mean, it was the DC movie and Superman movie that I've been waiting so long for to see. They finally got the character right. It's a joyful experience, and they made a Superman who is unabashedly kind and good-hearted and not ashamed to be so, and the relationship between him and Lois is stellar. the casting of them and Lex and Jimmy, and then the Justice Gang, which I still love that name, are all pulled right out of the comic books. And for me, on a personal note, I think which is why I keep coming back to it and why I've seen it so many times is like, I mean, it's an emotional experience. And for me this year, like my grandfather passed away. I had other friends pass away in the past years. And there's like, particularly the scene that gets me every time is between Clark and Pa Kent. And it's a beautifully written, beautifully acted scene. The music, it adds an extra touch there in the background. And it just gets to the heart of why I love the character so much. And, it's someone who, yes, he has all these powers, but he still is wrestling with a lot, both about his identity, what his purpose is, and dealing with loss. And that all just came together so well. And so I thought this was the one that James Gunn was born to make. I mean, love the Guardians movies and everything, and I love his horror stuff, but this is the one he really poured his heart and soul into, as well as all the other creative team here. But it's got heart, it's got humor. I love the action sequences. When I just think about, the most fun and exhilarating time I had at the theater this year, this immediately pops to number one. I saw it, not just that I see it 3 times in theaters, I saw it 3 times in a single week, and then have watched it multiple times at home, on Blu-ray and on streaming. It's just, again, are there flaws in it? Of course. But is it my favorite of the year? Without a doubt.
Yeah, I'm struggling to think of something that I haven't said on other shows, because I've talked about this movie at least 3 or 4 times across not even our own network, but others. It's just fun. You'll believe that a man can fly again. This is a fantastic. I use that word multiple times over. I don't care, because that's how I feel. This is fantastic. It embraces the source material in ways previous Superman movies have utterly failed to do. From the opening crawl, we get this is a lived-in world. This is DC, baby. Wacky and wild and stupid things are happening. Take all your Golden Age and Silver Age and Bronze Age and more nonsense, throw them on the scene together, and we have a fun film with characters. Once again, I thought this was going to be so bloated when other characters like Hawkgirl and Mr. Terrific and Guy Gardner were going to be in the film. Like, oh, we're setting up for Justice League in the first movie. That's what they did forever ago in the Snyderverse. I'm like, can't you not? It's like, no, can you give me more? Yeah. Because you actually write these characters and love and appreciate who they are. And I'm not saying Zack Snyder hates Superman. Don't at me there. I'm saying he didn't get him because Gunn gets Marvel, he gets DC, he gets Superman. And I know there was some other stuff we had talked about before that, like Andy, you had said you weren't as big on in the film, but I can't agree in that regard, but I understand where you're coming from. Like, I'm here for this movie and I'm here for the rest of what he has to offer.
I don't know what else to say, because like you guys, we've talked about it before. This movie just got me so hyped. I saw it 3 times in theaters. The third time is because in the second viewing, my son had an asthma attack, so we had to leave. So, but once he cooled down, and we went right back to the movies, and we went to go watch it again to finish it. But watching it at home, I didn't see the parallels to James Gunn's journey as a filmmaker, in the sense of he was very cynical. He was very kind of dark, and then his cancellation from social media, from Disney, and now he's making these stories where you try to balance those 2 sides of yourself and to be honest with yourself. And he just executed it so well here. It was this and the Thunderbolts were tied for me. So
good stuff. And yes, Andy, like we talked about earlier, when you have a contrarian opinion, I totally respect it because you back it up well. And I disagree. It was a great point you brought up on from your perspective and how this handled things. But yeah. So that, I don't know. Again, you can go in for very in-depth discussions on Superman back in the summer, and I do encourage you to, because I'm pretty proud of the episodes we did back in the summer. So awesome. Well, we're all punk rockers.
I was going to say that soundtrack too. Yeah.
The gun delivers on soundtracks every time. But yeah. So yeah, sweet. Awesome, Andy. Well, I know we're running short on time here.
It might not be so obvious, but we're actually up to our last movie. The highest ranked film of the year of this group is Sinners.
There we go.
Yeah. This was another one, kind of like Weapons. I was almost hesitant to show up because like it wasn't an easy one to get into as far as like I knew I'd be getting into something good, but I kept hearing good things. And when I finally watched it for myself, it's like, this is money well spent. This may be my number one film. And I didn't know it was recency bias then, but now after time has passed, I can say, yes, this is my number one film. Sinners is a phenomenal take on, vampires, on, the history of America, the Great Depression period, the African American community, and not even just them, like, the white community, the Asian American community, and, at that time, Irish people weren't seen as white, so to see them too, we get the Choctaw showing up as well, and all the blending together of these different people from these different walks of life, that's already complicated enough, and then a bunch of hive mind vampires show up and ruin the day. What do you do with that? Well, with this film, you're going to see some awesome stuff. You have some great characters here with Michael B. Jordan, to the point where my dad didn't know that he was playing separate characters. He thought, man, that guy looks really like him.
Nice.
And you know what? There were times he fooled me too, even though I knew better. Like, he did a great job at pretending that he was someone else. I mean, that's his job, but it's really good when someone can do their job well. And like, this cast is stacked. Like, I don't know names that well. The only one I recognize off the top of my head is Haley Steinfeld. That's because of other MCU stuff. But like, I can't name their characters. I can't name the actors, but I can tell you these people are worth watching, and they're worth like cheering for, even when we know bad things are going to happen. Because, I don't expect good things to happen in a vampire film that much. I mean, this isn't full like From Dusk Till Dawn, as long as it takes for you to get to the vampire stuff. But like, it does a great job with them. I'm eager to hear what everyone else has to say.
Oh, well, Christian, on the actor's note, so like Delroy Lindo should have been a household name and Oscar winner years ago, and it's still like that because he's, I think, one of the greatest living actors, and doesn't get. If you really want to see, he's working a lot of Spike Lee stuff, but in The Five Bloods, he's phenomenal there. But in here, he even if he only had one scene here, one of my favorite. I mean, there's so much in this movie, man, like so much spectacle and everything, but one of my favorite scenes is early on when Smoke and Stack are kind of going around recruiting people for the juke joint. I forget if it's Smoke or Stack goes to him, but he talks to him about getting beer and having him play at the juke joint, and they have just this great dialogue and this great. He just gives. So he has amazing screen presence and it's such a wonderful performer. But yeah, I mean, this is another one I know I've talked about in previous episodes, but it just, what a ride it is from start to finish. I mean, when I first saw the trailer, I didn't even need a trailer. When I saw Ryan Coogler and horror and Michael B. Jordan, I'm like, I'm there. I don't need to know anything about it. But I saw it 3 times in theaters. I watched it at home since then. Got it on 4K, and yeah, it's just I keep saying, you're probably tired of me here saying things like exhilarating and mesmerizing, but I don't know how else to describe it. It's just when I came out of this movie. Not that I wasn't already a big Ryan Coogler fan, but when I came out of this one, I was just like, give him whatever he wants to do going for. I mean, if he wants to do Star Wars, if he wants to do DC, if he wants to do another original, like, I mean, I am there, whatever he wants to do next.
Remake Fantastic Four.
Of course, he's working on Black Panther 3. Oh my gosh, yes, that would be perfect.
Why not?
But yeah, I would be down. But no, it's like Christian, like you said, it has so much to say about the history of America, about and like merging racial history with vampires and horror and doing this big sweeping epic. The music is just phenomenal, and I know everyone talks about it, rightfully so. The scene when in the juke joint where they do a culmination of years of black music, musicians, and merge those different eras into one scene. It was just, you can't take your eyes away from it. The performances are great. This was a big contender for number one, really. I had a hard time picking like with my top three here, but they're almost interchangeable. I love this movie.
Yeah, this and A Wake Up Dead Man are almost equal in my book. But with A Wake Up Dead Man, I could kind of vocalize why I liked it and why it resonated so much. But with this, I don't know. I just sat in that movie theater like, whoa. And the words that came to my mouth was, I'm glad I'm alive when this movie came out. And it sounds kind of cheesy and stuff, but I don't know how. I just don't know. It's just, I don't know. It's just worked on so many levels, this film. So many levels. And I had to trick my dad into it because he hates horror films. And he goes, yeah, but I saw the trailer and it's about zombies, right? I go, no, it's not about zombies. But I kind of kept the secret of it being about vampires kind of a secret, so he could watch it and we could talk about it. And he goes, "Thanks for tricking me into seeing the film because I loved it."
And Evan, I love what you say there about it's almost hard to vocalize. Like, yeah, I remember when I came out of it, I saw it on Good Friday when it opened, and I just posted on my Instagram story. I was like, I just said, hallelujah, what a movie.
There you go.
I mean, it didn't even need, like, where it was just like, go see it, go experience it.
I think the last time I walked out of a theater feeling that way was -1.
Oh, cool.
I'm sure there's other things that might be close, but like, I just saw cinema.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
And, I mean, I'm eager to hear your thoughts on this.
Yeah, I mean, if the question was, what are the best, most well-made movies that I saw this year, certain Sinners certainly, deserves to be in that conversation and, near the top. Is it dealing with important themes that we need to still grapple with because we haven't fully, come to terms with them? Absolutely. And I applaud Ryan Coogler for going there with, some nuance and some bravery. If we're talking about movies that I enjoyed watching, apparently I'm the sort of person that would rather watch a satellite fall in love with a buoy than to watch vampires kill people. I don't know what that says about me, but that's really kind of what it comes down to. There may have also been a little bit of, I know everybody else really liked this movie, so I want to shout out some other things, but yeah, I mean, very well done. If I had to quibble, there were maybe some decisions in the horror movie tradition of, oh, why did you do that? That was clearly not a good idea. But that's partly part of the part of the genre. And I hardly think this movie is the worst offender in that regard. But yeah, the decision, if I'm remembering it correctly, the decision to kind of let them all in at the end felt a little bit of a, well, the plot needs that. The film needs the final climactic action sequence more than that character maybe needed to make that decision. But as somebody who was a fan of the particular Irish folk song that gets used in the film as the sort of anthem of the villains prior to the film coming out, that maybe it didn't thrill me personally, right? It didn't make my heart sing exactly, but was it a valid artistic choice? Absolutely. Do I think that Ryan Coogler hates Irish people? No, I don't think that, and I don't think that I think it's clear from the text of the film that he has more to say than something that banal. But if we're talking about personal reactions and personal taste and so forth, that maybe didn't quite resonate with me in the same way that it might have other people. But yeah, I don't really want to criticize this movie. I really don't think that there's anything wrong with this movie. It just was not as much of something that I enjoyed, perhaps as appreciated as much.
Oh, and Christian also on the cast, Wunmi Mosako. She was the TVA agent in Loki. She's great as well.
Yeah.
And she was and she was in a crime series with John Bernthal. I'm blanking on the name, but that was excellent too. It's on HBO. She's phenomenal as well. But yeah, That's another thing where I'm just like, give Coogler, if he wants to, a big, another big comic book or, Star Wars movie or something, because he can handle an ensemble so well, and he knows how to like give them each satisfying arcs and, proper screen time. Like Michael B. Jordan, this is his movie, but it's a great ensemble cast here.
I do want to say, Andy, I appreciate you putting its name there twice.
I know,
on the
right?
slide.
That's
yes,
perfect.
as it should be. Yeah.
Times 2.
You do twice the work, you get twice the credit.
Awesome. 100%. Yep.
Hope he got paid that way.
I think he made a pretty penny on this one, I'm going to guess. I don't think Michael B. Jordan's starving for finances right now.
Oh, no.
But yeah.
Hey, what a renaissance from Fan Forstic.
Right?
Right? Oh my gosh.
You're right.
I'm so glad he
You're
died.
right.
He's not going to be remembered for that.
And from Killmonger, even, like, he really raised the bar on his characters.
Yep. He's got. I mean, they're a match made in heaven. Jordan and Coogler, they've worked together now for years and done movies together. And
Fruitvale Station. That's right.
Fruitvale Station, Creed.
Yeah.
I mean, he's in all his movies, and they go way back. And I mean, it's a modern Scorsese De Niro, and I hope it will continue for years to come. Awesome.
Nice.
All right, guys. Well, that was what an episode here. And I think before we close out, too, I know there's a lot coming in 2026 with movies. So, we've got some of the ones up here. I can real quick share probably my most anticipated. I think at the top of the list is The Odyssey. I am so excited at the prospect of a Christopher Nolan Odyssey film, especially knowing that back even before Batman Begins, he was originally attached to direct Troy before it went to Wolfgang Peterson, and then he did Batman. But I'm a huge Nolan fan, and I'm a big fan of the big historical Greek epics and stuff like that. I was also in a production of The Odyssey in high school. I was the voice of the Cyclops, so I know the story. I'm really looking forward to that. Others are Spielberg's Disclosure Day, that reuniting him with screenwriter David Cope, who he wrote Black Bag, Andy. So he's also had some really good stuff come up in recent years. But I'm always down for a Spielberg alien movie. And then, Project Hail Mary, Supergirl, and MCU wise, of course, like Doomsday has me the most like, what is this movie going to be and how is it going to turn out? If I had to say which one I'm more excited for, it's probably Spider-Man, because the director of Shang-Chi is doing it, and I don't have to worry about all the, I hope not all the multiverse shenanigans with that movie as much. I just hope it's good. Doomsday, we will see how it turns out. And then of course Dune. There's some others there. Oh, and then right off the bat in January, 28 years later, The Bone Temple, I'm very excited for, as well as Send Help, which is the new Sam Raimi. So there's a lot coming out, but what are you guys like most excited for out of these?
Spider-Man, obviously. He's my guy, ride or die. I've some of the leaks that have come out that look really good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm questioning why Punisher and Hulk are in the same movie, but you know what? Maybe they can surprise me again. I'm up for that. Sounds like we're going to get a montage of him taking down some lesser villains too, which I'm always fond of. Then, of course, Doomsday comes out. It's like, it's hyped up. It's not as much hype as, we had the first time around with Infinity War and Endgame, but I'm still in it to win it. Like, they haven't lost me yet. And then Supergirl's coming out. I'm really eager to see what Gunn does with her and adapting that story, because I got to read that graphic novel. I was at Will's place a couple months ago, and I really enjoyed it. Dune Part 3 comes out. Werewolf. Eggers. I always loving what he's going to be ending up doing. So those are me.
Oh, also Clayface is like, I'm almost even more excited by that than the superhero ones. I'm looking forward to those. That I'm really excited for.
If anyone could be the anti-Sony, I think it could be in the Gunverse. And we can have a hero without a villain story without the main hero inside of it.
Yeah.
And Mike Flanagan wrote it. That's what's really.
Oh yes, Flanagan. Yes.
Yeah. He couldn't direct it because of scheduling conflicts, but it's his script, so that I'm very excited for. Evan, Andy, what about you guys?
Go for it.
And I'll just say, I went with movies that had posters available Plus, I had to throw in Spider-Man because I know Christian's a Spider-Man guy, and I'm excited about Spider-Man 2 and, Destin Dana Cretton. And Jackie Chan was on set to bless the proceedings, so that's always a positive sign.
Wow.
But yeah, it was my most anticipated movie of this past year because I missed the scheduling change, and so it's still my most anticipated movie of 2026. I'm very excited for Project Hail Mary. I read the book. I loved the book when it came out. And, it's a handsome, funny microbiologist saving the world with his microbiology skills. So personally, it's hard not to love. And that's before you get to, Chris Lord and Chris Miller and Phil Lord having their hands in this. I've enjoyed a lot of what they've done before. I'm with Kevin. I have no idea what to expect from Doomsday. I will obviously be there when it comes out. But I've the sunk cost fallacy. What's that? I've seen all these MCU movies. I'm here for the next one. I'm excited. Andrew Koji was excellent in Warrior, a TV series based on a concept that Bruce Lee put together. So I'm excited for him to be on the big screen as Ryu in the Street Fighter movie. I have no idea if it'll be any good or not. I have no idea if he will get his proper moment to shine in that film or not. But I hope for all good things on that front.
Yeah, that Street Fighter film looks like it's gonna be bonkers in a great way.
I hope so.
Looks fantastic. Yeah, but I shared the same sentiments on all the comic book films and with the Odyssey, and I'm super excited to, even though that is not a episode film, but we are getting Star Wars back on the big screen. That just kind of fills a hole in my heart that nothing else will. So, and I completely forgot about Toy Story 5. I'm super curious to see that film and see how they take the characters and stuff because
that's like how 4 ended.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah. I'm really looking forward to that.
I'm overly cautiously optimistic about that.
Same.
That's one that it should have ended with 3, but 4 was better than it had any right to be, so we'll see. But also, since you got it up here, The Bride from Maggie Gyllenhaal, I'm very excited for as well. I've seen the trailer. That looks really interesting. So, a lot of good stuff on here. And yeah, this was a jam-packed episode. Hey, if you've watched with us the whole time, I really appreciate it. We had to do a big end of the year banger of an episode, and we succeeded. So thank you guys.
Yeah.
But
thank you for giving me my watch list for the next for the rest of the week while I'm really doing nothing at home.
Absolutely. I love it. Well, everyone, thank you so much for listening, watching. If you're new here again, please rate, subscribe, share. It really helps us out. And see a lot more movies in 2026. Hope you like some of the recommendations we provided today. Share your thoughts in the comments. Let us know, what did you love this year? What are you looking forward to in 2026? We want to hear from you. And remember, we are all a chosen people, a geekdom of priests. Happy New Year, y'all.
Hey friends, it's your pal Will Rose here, and let me break the fourth wall a moment and look directly at you through the camera or speak directly to you in your earbuds. Yep, I'm talking to you, Susie. You too, Chad. You can now support Systematic Geekology on Fourth Wall. That's a website. You'll find all of our episodes, incredible merch like shirts and hoodies and mugs. Chad, I would love to see you in one of those shirts out in the wild. You get bonus episodes. We answer bonus questions. We have special shout outs. We have certain episodes that you pick. So you help us create and curate the content that we put out for the world to hear. You even get free merch. And you can support the show at different levels. You could join at the free level. Yep, we love free members, free support. Join it. Or you could become a sidekick for as little as $5 a month. You could join the elves and dwarves for $10 a month. You could become a wizard for $15 a month, or you could go to divinity school and become a cleric for $20 a month. And that's way cheaper than going to seminary, believe me. Or at $25 a month, you could become a superhero. And let me just say, we love all of our listeners, whether you support us at the free level or the superhero level. We love you. We love geeking out with you. Like, support, share the show. Love you.
Hello, Systematic Geekology listeners. This is Kevin here. Just want to give a brief ad for some of the other podcasts in our Anazao podcast network. First of all, off is Let Nothing Move You by Christian Ashley, in which Christian goes through the Bible one chapter at a time and gives his thoughts there. There is also the Bible After Hours, which is a more progressive take on the Bible that tries to challenge the status quo with satire and looks at theology. The host uses the pseudonym The Foul-Mouthed Preacher. And as a bonus, Joshua Knoll does the voices for this one. So definitely check that one out. And also, and we'll laugh about that later, is the newest podcast that our own Will Rose is starting, where he will interview friends about a story they had that wasn't funny at the time, but that they laugh about now. So definitely check out these shows and subscribe to us wherever you get your pods. Thank you very much.